the Fireball jacket. What's really interesting about this really is the unique combination between the face textile and lining, which is the same, and the insulation itself and how they all kind of interact with each other. So this is very much a modern day insulation piece for active activities, you know, where you're generating high energy output, lots of moisture vapor, and you want to get rid of that through the system without having to adjust your layers or adjust the jacket too much, right? So you want to be wearing this, continue to wear it, and it kind of self-regulates your temperature in a really efficient and comfortable way. So what you're looking at is you've got a plain woven textile, which is 90% nylon and 10% polyurethane. Polyurethane is to give you the four-way stretch. All right, so you've got full freedom of movement even in a close-fitting garment. So it also helps keep the fabric really nice and soft. So it's soft, it's quiet, you've got stretch in four directions, and it allows you to get to a different level of comfort within the garment. Really lightweight, 12 denier by 30 denier. Denier is just a measurement of the fineness of the yarn. So the smaller the number, the finer it is in terms of yarn speak. So the fabric itself weighs 64 grams. And it's got a C6 DWR to help against slight light showers or whatever. It allows the water beat up and roll off and just give you that extra level of protection. The fabric itself has an air permeability. So this is a CFM of 30. So that's quite a high CFM. And what do we mean by CFM? CFM is a measure of air permeability in cubic feet per minute. So it's the amount of air flow that'll get through the fabric in a volume of air. So the smaller the number, the more windproof it is, and the bigger the number, the more air that can pass through the fabric. Some air passing through a fabric is quite beneficial in terms of that it can pick up any excess moisture in terms of vapor and strip it out of the garment without having to adjust zips or any fastenings within the garment. What's important to note is that CFM, or wind resistancy and air permeability, are all closely linked, but it's additive. So each layer of fabric that you have will provide a resistance to the penetration. So while you have your outer layer and you have a strong wind, it can actually penetrate through the outside and push back out. What it does is, if you've got a thickness of insulation, and the level of warmth is always related to the thickness, so the thicker it is, the warmer it'll be. As the wind penetrates through the outside, it would reduce your active level of insulation. So as it comes through, so your insulation goes from this thick to this thick without actually ever changing. Yeah. So what it means is that in a higher wind, like really cold, strong wind or relative wind speed, so like if you're on a bike moving really, really fast, then you've got a relative wind speed, the speed that you're traveling, will have different levels of penetration through the textile itself. So yeah. So what you'll find is that it works really, really well in high-paced, fast moving aerobic activities. And if you slow down your activity, or let's say the wind speed gets up and it gets cool, you might have to put an additional layer on top of this to protect from the excess wind chill. So I would look at this as kind of a hybrid almost, from a fleece space, so a really nice, comfortable, warm mid-layering piece, to a outer piece that gives you more protection than a fleece would, but not as much protection as, let's say, a windproof with a fleece combination. So you're in this middle space, which allows really versatile piece that can go through a very wide range of activity levels, weather conditions, while providing a maximum level of comfort in the overall package. Now, of course, to have a nice four-way stretch face textile would be pointless if you don't have a nice four-way stretch insulation on the inside. So you've got a synthetic sheet insulation with a four-way stretch and recovery, which allows for a good freedom of movement throughout the whole entire product and maintains your loft repeatedly over time. It'll also still maintain a level of warmth even if it gets wet. The insulation in the Fireball is 60 grams of insulation. Currently we're using VIVO Extreme, which is a perforated insulation which maximizes moisture vapor transmission without sacrificing any insulation levels. So there's a size that the pore can achieve before it starts generating a convectional current within the space. Once you get to that size, you start losing your thermal value. But once the air isn't able to circulate within the insulation, then you maintain that level of insulation. The insulation itself is migration proof, so we can use very highly open face textile without worrying about the insulation migrating through.